Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dialogue Internet Radio Network. I'm Abel Rodriguez, and this is Dialogue Podcast with Abel Rodriguez. And today I'm really happy to let you all know that I also wear another hat, and it's called Chicano Hollywood. And that's why we're here right now. I'm very honored and very happy that we have the founder of Chicano Hollywood with us today, a guy that finally something good on the internet happened to me because I saw what he was doing, and I quickly direct mailed the guy and all that kind of stuff. And here we are. Actually, I'm in with you 2 years now.
Yeah, bro, it's been good. It's been a good journey. Look at from the first Facebook message you sent me, and I remember getting that. I'm like, yeah, cool. What's up? Who's this guy? And then now 2 years later, look at the presence that you have established there in El Paso for Chicano Hollywood, and then the different things that we've been able to go and be a part of. So it's pretty exciting. You coming to LA, I mean, just really, if we got this far in 2 years, just see where we're going to be at the next few years.
I'm really excited, and let me introduce you. This is Johnny Murillo. He is the founder of Chicano Hollywood /TV streaming site.
Mm-hmm.
It is a streaming site that has our stories in it. I'll be honest, our stories and other stories. But we as this creator group, we always get tied into general market, but we have a lot of creators, a lot of directors, producers, actors, wardrobe. We're in everything.
Yeah.
And Chicano Hollywood was something that you came up to try to lift us up, and let us know that, hey, we're a group and we're big and we can make some noise.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Thanks for coming on to the podcast, Johnny.
No, thank you, bro. No, that's exactly it. Because, I've been in Hollywood now going on 17 years, and, I'm a producer. I'm what's called a line producer. So basically what I do is what people will send me a script. I help them break it down, let them know how many days it's going to take for production, how much it's going to cost, that kind of stuff. So, I've been around that long for almost 17 years. And I noticed, I'm also a creator. I'm a writer as well. I noticed that the stuff that we are submitting or trying to pitch was never getting green lit. It was, for the last 16 plus years, it was a tough deal. Maybe 15 years, we never got green lit. There was other Latino projects that were being green lit, and they wouldn't last that long because nobody realized, or the studio system was not recognizing that out of the 62 million Latinos in the U.S., the majority, 40 plus, I say 40 to 50 million, were Chicano or Chicano voice. And that what I mean by voice is Salvadoran, Guatemalan, we're all raised in the same barrios, so we're the Chicano voice, and we were the majority. So nobody was creating content that touched us. They're creating content that was East Coast, which I'm down with my East Coast homies, but we were never getting green lit. And the gatekeepers were, they weren't Chicanos, and they weren't Tejanos, they weren't New Mexicans, they were East Coast. And because of that, there was almost a very verbal drive to say we need to change the narrative. And what they were saying is we don't want to be associated with the Chicano voice because they're like the narratives, gang members, lowriders, and tacos. Well, that's who we are. That's my family. So I'm like, you don't want to change the narrative. You want to silence my stories. So I just said, we're going to have to just greenlight ourselves. So Chicano Hollywood was birthed out of the set of a Chicano movie. And we had, Chicanos in front of the camera, Chicanos behind. And it was an amazing experience. And it was birthed because we recognized that, we needed to have our own platform. So we launched the streaming Chicano Hollywood TV. We launched live events. We have one coming up. We launched a lot of training. So our mission is to raise up the Chicano voice and to get people trained up so that they can operate those highest levels. If they want to be in the studio world, we're going to help them. If they want to be an independent world like me, then yeah, let's do it. That's my world, so that's what the mission is.
Well, that's a great way to start this conversation off because there's power in numbers, no doubt about that. And the numbers that I'm feeling off of everything you've done and what we've done over here kind of culminated. There was a meeting here a couple days ago, and it was called by a bunch of Mexican American, Latino filmmakers, creators, as I call them, and content makers and influencers and all. They all showed up because they, as a collective group with some of their leaders, were not happy because Hollywood came through here and they were here like 6 weeks on a major motion picture. And I won't say the studio, but I will say that a lot of people here knew about it because some of them are in the know, and they were kind of upset with our local leaders as far as film goes, that they didn't do enough to in their behalf to see if this big company from California would hire a good amount of people that work here, and they wanted to know why. Why didn't you advocate for us? Why didn't you? And the thing is that once you start learning how all the puzzle is put together, you realize that a film commissioner is a quasi political type of guy because he's tied into some city government that's paying some sort of third party to take care of whatever happens when you got to have permits to close streets, you got to have security to make sure no one gets involved. This is a an industry that things could happen. I mean, look what happened up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, with Baldwin, and that it's a serious thing that has to have a lot of oversight in order for people to, first of all, do a good job, and second of all, nobody gets hurt.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a big thing, you know. Yeah, commissioners, especially yours, Drew. I love that guy. You know, he's doing an amazing job. Their main, I can't speak for him, but from the ones that I've worked with before, their main mission is to attract production to their cities, and they're trying to leverage incentives like rebates and locations and stuff like that. So for him to attract, or for them to help facilitate this big Warner studio level movie that came into you guys a couple weeks ago, that was great. Now I'm sure he was busy because it's not easy. Those big productions, they come in demanding, and then they come
Yes,
in, you got to be ready to pivot within a minute's notice. They're going to say, "Oh, that's not going to work. We want this." And then all of a sudden you got to race over and secure a location, or secure some security, or secure some crew or something. It's dramatic. It's not an easy thing to do. Now the benefit is they are, bringing a lot of income to the community, now, at the same time, we got to figure out how in El Paso to get our crews there to the level so that they can operate at that studio level. And it's always a hard thing to bridge between the indie level, which I love. I'm an indie guy, to go into the studio level because it's a whole different ball game, right? On the indie level, we do everything. We do it all, from I'll produce, I'll exec produce, I'll write. But if I got to pick up trash, I'm gonna pick up trash, right?
right.
On the studio level, you got to stay in your lane. You cannot change lanes. You cannot go into that lane, and it's just, and there's reasons why, So I got a lot of mad respect for our union family that they know how to operate in that lane, and it's a great thing. We just gotta, the way I look at it is that those that aspire to be at the studio level working through the union system, we want to help them get there. I'm really close friends with some of the union guys over here, and as a matter of fact, our conference coming up, we've got two unions that are sponsoring us, and I love, Alex Aguilar, Olga, from the SEIU, Olga Miranda, and they are both in favor of what we're doing, love we're doing. I'm reciprocating back. Anyone that wants to be in these unions, just to get you connected. IATSE, we have a lot of family in IATSE, all the locals, So there are people that they need to be in the unions because that's where they thrive. I
Right.
always tell people
Yeah, I got that. I got that from this meeting because there was it went organic, dude.
Mhm.
People were getting up saying, "I'm so and so, and I'm in the union, and I want to say some things." And they got up, and I learned a lot about the union. I'll tell you what, man.
Yeah,
The people don't realize how many caveats. That's a good word. How many different things and different unions there are for different things. Electrical
oh
Brotherhood,
yeah, yeah,
all
yeah,
those guys. And like you said, they stay in their role. You know,
yeah,
if they're on a union set, they're only doing what their union tells them to do, and the rest of it they could care less
yeah,
because that's the way it all works. You know, the electrical union guys, they got to fix a plug or something, but no other union can go up there and mess with their stuff. It has to be that brotherhood
yeah.
together and do that because that's why the union was hired on that
Yeah, and,
particular.
and it makes sense because if you get a guy like me that does everything on a union set, I'm gonna basically, let's say if I jumped in there as a producer and I see a bunch of wires that are making them not in the right place and all that, and I go in and start touching all their electrical stuff. First, it's dangerous. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. They're the experts, and then second, I'm also doing their job. Which, if I'm going to do the job, why do they need to hire them? So it's not good. It's not healthy. They want to make sure that their guys are working. So I look at the initiatives that they have to protect their work, and they need to. I was going to say earlier, the union changed my mom. She was always a migrant worker, cannery worker in San Jose, and then she joined. She became a transit bus driver, and she became a teamster. And I was having lunch with Alex Aguilar, and we were talking about how it was the unions that changed our lives. And I realized when he said that, I'm like, you know what? I remember once my mom became a teamster, all of a sudden we had medical, all year long. All of a sudden we had dental. All of a sudden we had, different other benefits, and all of a sudden we had money. She wages went up. And all of a sudden we had like she the mortgages wasn't going to be foreclosed on, all that kind of stuff. So the union changed their lives. I'm a big fan of the result of what unions can do for our families.
And
And,
when you're
and
saying your mom was a teamster, that's
she was,
saying a lot,
yeah, yeah,
because she still knew that she had to pay the dues and make sure she was in good standing and make sure all her information was up to date on the roster and
yeah. And she was freaking loyal too, because I remember once something went wrong that the union went a different direction, that it wasn't really supporting her specifically. They always got to go with the bigger number, right? And she kind of got the little shaft there, but I remember I was upset about it, and she's nope, union Teamsters, blah blah blah, and she was so hardcore, which is great. I mean, I respect her. She rest in peace. But she was a freaking loyal. So these union communities, they need to support each other, and they do, which I love about that. Now the hard thing is, how do we get independent guys into that? There's a process that they have to go through.
absolutely.
Yeah,
This guy was talking about these guys were mixed up because they kept saying, "Well, how many hours and do the hours roll over and all that kind of stuff?" And the guy
yeah,
said, "It's not hours, guys. It's days.
it stays. Yeah, they have
That's
to have
how
so
that,
many
that's
unions
how they
there.
got to have so many days, not hours." And they
Yeah,
were kind of like, "Well, I thought it was hours." I said, "That's the kind of information that us as Chicano Hollywood need to get into these indie guys, so
yeah,
they'll understand exactly how it works and not go, pues chingado, no me dijeron nada."
yeah. No, no, they have, like, I think, I don't quote
Sorry
me,
for
and
my
no,
French.
yeah, don't quote me on this, but I think, like, to get into the 600, at least here in LA, it's like 100 days, right?
Right.
And that's the camera department. And I know guys that we've helped, get their days in, and help them, all that kind of stuff. They have to have basically time, what are they, call sheets. They have to have call sheets and recommendations and so on, to show that they have the experience. You can't just jump in there. Now, some of the unions have training that you can apply to, and then you get into their apprenticeship and so on. But yeah, they have to have days, which is, it's a good thing though, because when you're on one of those bigger studio level, multi-million dollar, $300 million productions, if you don't know what the heck's going on, they're gonna let you go quick. because they
They don't know. They don't hold back. They fire you off the set.
exactly they will let you go immediately because a couple things is one is they need to get the job done. And every single day on a set, every single day, you got to think if they lose a day, they're losing anywhere between $1 to $5 million if they lose that day. So if they have one person that doesn't know what they're doing, and that one person, does something that screws everything up, they're gonna let them go. So that's why it's so important to learn, train. Opportunities are going to come to those that are ready and those that can they have the skills. So I don't blame. I've been on some big sets where I shake my head, and I'm usually there as like as a producer or something. I'm shaking my head because I don't know how these guys do it, but they do. And some of those big budget movies, they're very strict because they can't be screwed around. Someone's going to be responsible at the end of the day, and if you're underneath them and you're making them look bad, they're going to replace you. Even on my indie projects, I've replaced people that day. You're gone, and I just say sorry, but you're not doing the work. And it wasn't because I didn't like them. It wasn't because it's because they weren't doing the work. Especially this particular situation. It was a couple of grips I had to let go because they didn't know what the heck they were doing, and they were putting the rest of the crew in danger because they didn't know how to tie things down right. They weren't doing things right. So it's like, okay, this is gonna put us in danger. One time a tree caught on fire because they didn't recognize the heated lamp that they put up was right next to some dry bushes or dry branches. And it's like, man, we could have torched this whole forest. So stuff
Oh
like
my
that. So if
God.
you're not,
Hey, that's the way it works, man. That's the
yeah,
way it
yeah.
works, right?
So it's like
So
you're gonna cost us, so you gotta let you go.
so that was brought up. Another young lady came up and saying she was a wardrobe person, and that she was always looking for people to have on a roster that could sew because they got to sew costumes.
Hmm.
And here in El Paso, there's a bunch of people that used to sew for Levi's and for Sahara and all this. And what a perfect way to start a little club and then end up making it a registry where they might get picked up to go do costumes, even if it's up in Albuquerque. They may cover the cost to get them up there because they need that expertise.
Oh yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, they think that would be great, especially if there's the retirees that are just waiting for something to do, and there's always something fun about being on a movie set. There's just
I agree.
the fun of it, especially if you're working on the glam side, the wardrobe, makeup. They always have fun. So
Yeah, yeah. As a
there's
matter of fact, even at this meeting, there was some guy outside cooking, like he was, pushing himself as craft services, and the food was pretty good. I mean, there was this, like I like to describe it. It's a rompecabezas, man, a big,
yeah.
huge puzzle, and we're all a piece of it. And eventually, we're going to be able to all lock in our pieces and make this big mosaic that is us in the industry. And that leads us up to what's coming up next weekend, as a matter of fact. Chicano Hollywood Elevate Conference 2024. You had one last year. I went. It was fantastic. And I think you've upped the ante quite a bit as far as information, finding out correct information so you can play in the Hollywood game.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm up the ante, which is ups my stress levels. But it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. We got some major players coming. These are Chicano Latino players that are doing amazing things. And you're talking like showrunners, producers, some of the hottest movies last summer, The Long Game and A Million Miles Away. We got those producers coming. We have TV shows, the showrunner for Selena on Netflix. We have a showrunner for One Day at a Time. We're going to about to announce her. That's hot right now, hot off the presses. We just confirmed her today. Um,
Wow.
Gloria Calderon.
Heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, yeah. Here, this is hot off the presses right now. So we have Lisa Bidal, who's a major, very very busy actress. So anyways, all these others that are coming, and they know, and my moderators know, I want to hear their stories of how they got there, because if they start talking about their 30-40 million dollar projects, that does nothing for us because it's like, okay, no one's there yet. But I want what's important to me is just tell us the journey, because these are Latinos, these are Chicanos that have faced the same obstacles. They've come from the same barrios. They've come from, they've had to push through a lot of the racism, push through a lot of the nepotism, and they had to make themselves shine in an industry that doesn't look to them. So like, what is it that got them where they're at, and how can our people, our filmmakers, learn from that and push through? So the Elevate conference, if your listeners are in the area, if they want to come down, I would love to have them come down. It's all about learning how to get to the next level. I tell people, like, if you want 2025 to be a year of elevation, 2024 has to be a year of preparation. So there's a few months left in this year. So this conference is designed to get people excited, get people enlightened, and also networking. I mean, this is how you build your crews. You go to events like this and you meet people and you start making friends, and then you start producing. I hear that all the time from last year's Elevate. I have people all the time tell me, hey, I met so and so, and we've been making projects ever since. So this is it's a great opportunity for Raza to come together, and it's not just for Chicanos; it's for anybody. I don't care, Chino, Güero, whatever it might be. You show up, and you're gonna connect with great people.
Yeah, yeah, and actually, the thing about what you're doing is that it just it covers a wide variety of stuff,
Yeah,
you know, and let me see if I can get to the.
you go to the website.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, we have good panels coming up. And people want to learn about writing. They want to learn about storytelling. They want to learn about acting, producing. That we have the one panel on Friday night called Latinas Changing the Hollywood Landscape. We have power couples. We got two power couples that are coming, and these are two couples that they've been married for probably, I can't age them, but I think since the '90s and early 2000s, right? And I don't know how long they've been married, but they
So
are
who are you talking about?
Bel Hernandez and Enrique Castillo, and
Yeah, yeah, man. I got to meet him last year at the conference.
yeah, and then Dave Barelas and his wife Maria.
Right.
She's from Wizard Waverly Place and all that. And they're a couple. They have beautiful children and so on. And so like Belle and Enrique have been together for a long time. So these guys are Latino power couples. I mean, Hollywood might have their Brad and Angelina, of course, they're not together no more, but they have their own little power couples. Well, we have ours too. And I think it's important to show who we are and what we have. And so when we came up with this panel idea, I'm like, oh heck yeah, I love this idea, because we
I,
it
I'm
shows.
really I'm really looking forward to the Latinos leading Cobra Kai.
Yeah, we have those
Uh,
guys coming.
you got the Blue Beetle coming in.
Yeah, we got Sholo coming in. He's of course one of the hottest young Latino actors, and young Hollywood. I mean, he's crosses over. He's general audience, and he's getting roles that are not just because he's Chicano. He's getting roles because he's this amazing actor. So he's coming. We have the lady that plays his mom, Vanessa Rubio. She's
Rubio,
coming. Yeah, and then we have one of the directors, Joel, and then we also have the DP, Abe Martinez. He's a homie of mine. She's when I first got here to Hollywood, we started working together. We did food shows together and stuff like that. So he's a buddy of mine, and he's going to be he's going to be on that. He was a DP for Queen of the South, for Cobra Kai, for all these. So if you look at the last season of Cobra Kai right now, you see how cinematic it is. That's the work of Abe Martinez. It's
I'm glad
beautiful.
you told me because I was actually going to start seeing the
Yeah. There's a
last set.
couple. Yeah, there's a couple. They still have one more set of 6 episodes to drop in November, but we just finished the last ones, and you could tell, Abe is at the helm, because you could always see his type of work. But it came out beautiful.
Wow, wow, man. Maybe I can get him on.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, he loves El Paso.
That'd be great, man.
Yeah,
And then
he
you got
loves it.
another thing here, another part of the conference called Latinas Shifting the Hollywood Landscape.
Yeah, we got Lisa Vidal, we got Maria. That's going to be moderated by Daniela Lopez. And we also have Sarah Sagerman. She is the director of Hotel Cocaine. That's a new show that's on
Wow.
one of the hit series. Yeah, and then we're just adding Gloria Calderon to that panel. So yeah, that's
Well,
going to be a good one. These guys are
yeah.
changing it, you know.
With all these big Latinas, all over the place, man. You figure now that the business is picking up a little more again, that we're going to be seeing some Latina producers and directors getting some opportunities because of the fact that people are looking for product.
Yeah, you know what? One of the things that I think we're coming into, and this is going my guru predictions, right? For some reason, the studio system is still very dormant, right? I think we still there's still like 70% less work happening right now than there was pre-COVID. So we're still 70% behind on studio level production, and whatever the reasons are, I kind of have a feeling from stuff that I've heard that they're going to go hard on AI stuff, which I don't. I think it's a gamble. They're trying to save money, but I think it's a gamble. But that's kind of when you go hard in the AI, you don't need a lot of you don't need people, human beings, right?
Right.
But that's just my guess. I could be wrong. But the other thing that I see,
You're right.
two, two things that are going to grow. Number one is, and I say this, I said this the other day. This is the era of the independent filmmaker. Even A-listers are breaking off of the studio system to do their own things because they recognize that. You have a lot of A-listers that are decentralizing Hollywood. They're going to Vegas. They're going to other cities to start studios, right, and so on. Um, and they're all going to be independent. So the independent filmmaker, the time is now if you're going to get into this and grow. Our season is here. The way I look at it, we've always been kind of shadowed to the studio system, but I think it's going to kind of go like this, and then we might even do this because we the indie guy, we have the talent, we have the skills, we have the equipment. Before, we didn't have the equipment. We and getting the talent was it was hard to get to, but now we have the skills to do pretty much whatever level we want to do, right?
Right.
The other
Right.
thing was distribution was always a big thing, but now honestly, the way
But
distribution
now we're
is now,
streaming.
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, and we're going to be launching some new initiatives in the streaming world as well. So to me, it's like now is the time, the era of the independent filmmaker. Now, coupled with that is you have the new era of the Latino voice, right? Not just Chicano, but Chicano because we're the majority. So I say that we're in the Chicano Renaissance, right? The Latino Renaissance, where according to the demographics, our population is going to be taking over the majority. We're already the majority in California. I think we're close to being the majority in Texas, right?
Real close.
So we are crossing over probably in the next 10 to 20 years. We'll be crossing over to where we're the majority. We will be the general audience, right? Right now, or in past, there was a saying in Hollywood that if it would sell in, I think it was Peoria, Indiana, or Peoria, in Illinois, somewhere out there, right? Somewhere in Middle America.
Right.
So they would create TV shows for that audience, which is a primarily white Middle Western audience, right? So anything that we saw on TV when you and I were growing up, Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, Three's Company, all those, they had to pass that Midwestern small town uh, um, test that if they watch it, then it's going to be good, right? Well, that doesn't exist anymore. Now it's going to be who's going to watch it from LA, who's going to watch it from El Paso, who's going to watch it in Houston, Dallas, who's going to watch it in Denver. So that's all Aslan, right? That's all us. And the era of the Latino audience becoming the general audience, that's we're coming into that too. So parenthetically, if you're into film and you're an independent filmmaker and you're Latino, you're Chicano, now's your time. This is your time. This is like this is the time to go hard on the training, go hard on creating content, go hard on writing, learning how to write, and learning how to show run TV shows, all that stuff. Because with distribution, pretty much distribution is available for anybody, and you all you gotta do is just do good content. and it's going to get distributed. So the whole
Right.
business model is changing. So to me, we're in a perfect time right now.
Well, I'm just really happy you were talking about. Actually, I do have. You were talking about the independent film stuff and the insights. Heck of a panel that you got coming in on that one. But I'm just wondering. I want to see how you pronounce the dude's name. Paj-
Oh, Pritesh?
Pajama.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's how do you pronounce it?
Oh, let me see. I got to look at it when I
It's
try.
PEJ.
Yeah,
So it's
Pritesh. Yeah,
Pejman.
yeah, Hedman. So Pedman, yeah, he is a distributor. So what's good about him, especially if you're filmmakers, you need to make relationships, friendships, connections with distributors. And so he is he knows what's out there. He knows what audiences are looking for. You know that there's a, and I just found this out. And I'm going to try to tap into it. My boy Henry Priest at the Downtown LA Film Festival, he was telling me about this. He said that there's a book that the studios someone puts together for, and it's a book that shows exactly what the studios are looking for. Distribution companies, let me retract that. Distribution companies, what they are predicting is going to be the hot sellers for the next year, right? So every year they come out with, their what they are expecting, or where they're basically foretelling is that there's going to be a need for action in this market, a need for drama, a need for rom-com, that kind of stuff. They predict this
Yes.
stuff, and then producers, studios, they will produce towards that book, right? So I'm trying to get a hold of that book because I think it's important that we know if you're on the business side. Now, this doesn't apply if you're an artist type of filmmaker. You make whatever you want to make. Just make. I tell people, if you're just in this for art, then make what you're going to make. If you're in this for business and art, well, then you got to learn this stuff. We're making relationships with distribution companies, learning the business of distribution, and knowing what companies want. They're predicting what China is going to want. They're predicting what South America is going to want, and you build your production company towards those needs. So it's like people saying, okay, for Thanksgiving we want to have tamales instead of turkey, but you show up with turkey, and no one's going to eat it. But you read ahead that everyone that's coming is wanted tamales. They check the box that they want tamales, so then you make tamales, and then you're a hit, right? So
Right.
there's a
Right.
book out there I got to figure
It,
out.
it makes sense.
It does. That's why these people, they have to leverage. They're working with big money. They got to make sure they leverage every risk as much as possible. So
Right.
Protest,
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
he's a distributor. Pejman Partiyeli. He's a distributor, and he's an expert in what's called micro budget movies. And
Movies.
he's a good guy to connect with because, again, you don't have to have 40 million or $100 million to make a good story. I
Right.
just saw a trailer from a filmmaker named Tonazzi Madrigon, and it looked beautiful, pretty beautiful. And I know that was a micro budget movie, right? I don't know what their budget was, but I know it wasn't huge. But it's a good story, and there's going to be an audience for it, a great audience for it. So the key is going to be to learn how to make low budget, micro budget stories that look beautiful, because they will be distributed. You will eventually get your money back. Might take a minute, but once you get a couple of those in the can and they're out there working, then you'll be able to attract the investors to come in and get behind you, and then you're rolling. Then you're in business.
Yeah,
That's
like it's like anything else. The more projects you have in the tube, the money eventually is going to even out and start coming out nice and
yeah.
even.
It's a long
With
game. It's a long game. It's not a short game.
absolutely. So there's another one another panel you're having called Horchata with Oat Milk,
Yeah.
the next Chicano classic. And I got
Yeah.
to tell you, I'm now friends with a talent guy, uh, a guy named Vincent out of LA. And I mentioned, because they work a lot with comics, I mentioned this guy Concrete, and he says he's probably one of the funniest young up and comers that he's seen.
Yeah.
That's going to be sitting on that panel, along with
Yeah.
some other people. Like there's the guy named Soso,
So
producer.
also, he's a
Jeff
producer. Yeah.
Reyes, another producer. He's the moderator for this.
Moderator, and he was a producer of that project. That, let me tell you about that one. That I wrote that movie.
Uh-huh.
And so we're going to show the trailer for it finally going to be able to see it. But that is the birth of Chicano Hollywood on that set. So I'm excited about that one because all those guys are all friends of mine. The way the story goes is Jeff Ray is right when COVID was loosening up just a little bit. Jeff hit me up, said, "Hey, can you turn this into a script?" And it was just a one page of a bunch of notes of story of a gentrification story. A homie gets out of prison after 20 years, goes back to his neighborhood. The old gang is gone. Instead of the taco shop, it's now a cupcake shop, and stuff like that. Instead
Yeah.
of cholos and Pendletons, it's now hipsters and flannels. That kind of
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
right?
I hear you. I hear you.
So it's a comedy. So we have Jerry Garcia as the lead, Concrete's the lead, Dunos is the lead, a bunch of others. It's really, really funny comedy. They That whole it was on that set that Chicano Hollywood was birthed because we were doing a dialogue meeting at the director's house, and we had the script up on the wall, and I had it projected up on the wall, and the director LV, he's there, and he's smoking a joint, right? So he lights one up, and he just puffs this big old cloud of smoke in front of the script, and I thought, ooh, that's a cool picture. So I said, hey, bro, do it again. And I made him do it like 6 times. He's like, I can't no more, no more. I try to get the picture right. So
Take six.
yeah, when I finally got that picture, I sent it to my daughter who was in Azusa Pacific University Film School at the time, and I said, "Hey, check this out. I'm with Chicano Hollywood," and that's where I came up with the name. It was because of Chicano professionals. Again, it wasn't all Mexican American. We had Chicano voice. We had Jeff is I think from El Salvador, and some of the others are all we're all not just Mexican American, right? But I said just Chicano Hollywood, right? And we it was just a joke, and she responded back saying, "Hey, that's funny." And then it just came from there. So I nicknamed that production Chicano Hollywood just for fun. But I noticed how they really embraced it. They really loved the affirmation. So on March 11, 2021, I just got the socials. I started the trademark. I got the domains, and I just started building it. And it wasn't like intentionally to build a brand. It was just like, let me build something so that we could get some light, because I already knew that our stuff wasn't getting greenlit. So like, let me just put
Right,
some
right.
light on us, right? So
Yep.
that's how it started, and from then until now, we are where we are. By God's grace, we have favor. We have become a voice, an advocacy voice for our community. We're expanding out with guys like you, with Gil in Phoenix, with Juan in Dallas, Karina in Houston. We have Batalla in Chicago. We have Ruben in San Diego. We have Rob in Las Vegas. We have San Jose. The guys up in San Jose. So we are expanding out. I got invitations to go to New York, to go to Charlotte, to go to other cities that they're like, hey, how can we be a part of what you're doing, right? So we're gonna commit ourselves to really help elevate our gente. Anyone that's down with us doesn't have to just be Chicano, but our heart is the Chicano voice, and that's what we're gonna build.
And getting people to work in what they want to work in. That's always the one thing, man. It ain't work if it makes you happy.
Yeah.
You
That's a
know.
big thing too. I tell people like a lot of groups like to focus on the high school kids, which I
Right.
get it, right? They're the future, and they are. But there's guys like us. We've been doing. I was a pastor for 23 years. I wasn't. This is like my second career kind of thing, right? I was also a
Right.
fireman for 6 years. So there's guys like us that we've been working in other areas to take care of our families, to do all that. There's guys that have been in a warehouse for 30 years, or they've been Teamsters. Now they're going to retire. So there's guys like us that still have something inside of them that they want to get it out, and they want to do something like this. So I'm like, jump in, man, start learning. They can, I naturally gravitate into production because of my previous life skills, right? I was a pastor, so I knew how to manage people. I knew how to move people. I was
Right.
a firefighter. I knew how to
Right.
take risks, right? I knew how to manage. I had my own station with a couple of trucks. I had to budget all that stuff, right? So there's skills that we bring in from life into this arena now, that we just got to learn the language. You learn the language, pick up the tools, learn how to use them, but you realize you already have the skills. So it's not a hard transition. And then as writers, we have so many stories. I could
Yep.
easily write a story about a Chicano firefighter because I was one. I could easily write a story about a Chicano
Absolutely.
construction man because I had my own construction business at the time. I can do a
Right.
pastor story. So we have stories because of our life, the years that we have versus some 20-year-old graduate from some writing school that they're going to write about being a 40, 50-year-old cop. Well, they've never done that before. They're going to have to look at TV to figure out how to write that stuff. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm
I
saying.
agree with you 100%.
Yeah. So older people have a lot to offer this. So I'm like, if you're old, andale, métate. Let's get this done. Let's tell our stories.
And here's the one last thing we could talk about. I knew we were gonna go. We were gonna go pretty good on time, and we're doing good. But
Yeah.
so leveraging local resources, how film commissions support filmmakers. I think we started off by talking about a meeting that happened because the local guys that work in this stuff wanted a shot at our film commissioner, and it worked out good. I mean, it was very civilized and all that, but you know, what you think is the truth ends up being not the truth, and then you hear it what the real truth is, and you go, oh, so that's how that happens. But
Yeah.
we're real happy here in El Paso that our film commissioner Drew Mayor Oaks will be there. He's a big supporter of Chicano Hollywood ever since I went and cold called on him about a year and a half ago, and he stays involved with me, and he's going to be one of your panel
Yeah. He's one of
discussion
our
people.
panelists. Yeah. We're going to have him representing El Paso. We're going to have the ladies, Katie and Danette Kim and Danette from Las Vegas, the Nevada Film Office. And we're going to have Alex Aguilar, who's with Film LA. So they are all going to be talking about the resources. People need to realize cities want to help filmmakers. They have resources, they have connections, they have tax credits, they have tax rebates. When I was in New Mexico a couple of years ago, I produced a movie out there. It was like $2.2 million budget, and we're out there for like 90 days, mid-August to like late October, and we had we for us to qualify for the tax rebates that New Mexico was offering, you had to hire people within the local hiring crews. You had to whatever you spend. So we were spending money on food, on hotels, on supplies, on equipment, and so on. So we basically save all those receipts. You put them all together. You get audited. They show you, okay, now that you spent X amount of dollars, we're going to give you 35% of that back in a check. So, I just line produced it. I wasn't the owner of it, but the owners of it, they got, I'm sure it was a couple of $100,000 that they got back, for the money that was spent over there. So this is the systems that are set up because states want to attract, film business because it
Right,
does a lot for their economy. So
right.
that's why I'm supporting this panel for Drew to come and represent El Paso and just talk about what El Paso has to offer. I want our filmmakers to learn how to work with film commissions. There's always been this fear of it or not understanding how it works. At least they know that there's a door open, there's a contact they can make, and there's stories. There's stories in Vegas, there's stories in El Paso, there's stories in Albuquerque. There's stories that need to be
Yeah, I
told with.
saw that San Diego fired up Latino stories up in there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Arizona Body Stories. They're branching out to San Diego. They'll be doing
Yeah,
San
I
Diego
saw that.
Body Stories. Yeah, they're very, 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 very good platform. So creating movies with backdrops. For example, when I was there at the event we did a couple weeks ago with Aim for the Heart, I was talking to the writer and I just said I gave him this idea. I said I got this idea. I'm gonna throw it at you. Just boil it, put it in the back of your head because there's a movie I would love to produce out there. It's not written. I'm not ready for it, but I just stuck it in his head because, like, if I'm gonna go out there and shoot a movie, I'm gonna make sure it's with local talent, right? And I want to make sure
Right.
that our guys that are there are involved in it. If I have to bring anyone over, it's because they have their keys, they're part of my core team, so on. But for the most part, I'm gonna be our core team there. So
Right, right.
and part of it because we need to see more stories that are not based in LA or New York or Chicago, right? Chicago does a lot of
Exactly.
stuff, and I won't mind seeing more Chicago as long as it's our people that are doing it. We have a good group over there, and they have some amazing, amazing, amazing creative ideas. They're coming. I got like 10 to 15 people coming from Chicago to the Elevate conference, and we're going to connect them with different producers, so on, so they can start pitching and so on. So I think the film commission panel for producers has got to be the most exciting one because it's going to help them elevate their game. So
Exactly.
that's a big one for me.
I agree with you. So we've been talking with Johnny Murillo, the founder of Chicano Hollywood / TV streaming service. And it's funny, we talked about this a little bit, but the Elevate conference is next weekend in Los Angeles, California, downtown at the Ricardo Montalban Theater. It goes on September the 13th and the 14th from, I guess it starts at 3 p.m. with people showing up and getting their seats and stuff. And if you're in the LA area and you catch my podcast, it's 1615 Vine Street, Los Angeles, California 90028, and that's where it's at. You can go to Eventbrite and look it up as Elevate Conference for the ticket information and all that. There's still plenty of opportunity to still buy some tickets and get into everything, right?
Yeah, plenty. I want them all to come, and they can use the code connected to get 20% off. That are connected to you, so they can get that. And they can go to our website, ChicanoHollywood.com. That might be the easiest way instead of looking for an Eventbrite. But go to our website. You can click there. That'll take you to Eventbrite. And we want people to come. It's going to be an amazing event for the Chicano Latino voice, and we got big players coming. So pretty exciting stuff.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to come on with me, and I'll just try to finish up with this. When I finally took a shot at going to live in LA, I have a friend of mine that he was freelancing like crazy, and one of the first things I got to do was at the Ricardo Montalban Theater. It was the Desi Awards, and I ended up being the stage manager. And little did I know that I'd meet LL Cool J and Dean Beriche and all kinds of neat things, because someone vouched for me and said I could do it, and we did it.
Yeah.
And that's the way this works. So hey, thanks for your time, and we'll be seeing you next weekend in Los Angeles, California.
In Hollywood. We will be in Hollywood, right there on Vine. So it's gonna be good. Okay, brother. God bless, man. God bless El Paso, and we will see you all soon.
Thank you, man. Be good. Remember, you've been listening to Dialogue podcast with Abel Rodriguez, and we've been speaking today with Johnny Murillo, the founder of Chicano Hollywood / TV streaming service. There's already like 9 movies from El Paso streaming on there, so go check it out. Chicano Hollywood / TV. We ask you to download the app and watch stuff there wherever you're at. But as far as this one goes, thanks for being around. And as I like to say, te guacho raza.
Guacho.